So I know in a Manosphere they had already went over this specific topic, even the chart itself. But I saw a comment section under this video that I'm going to play, and then we're going to talk about it. Before I play the video, the chart I'm talking about is the percentage of black men with children. So again, going to play the video, then we're going to go from there.
First, start off with the fact that 54% of black men are single and childless. 30% of black men are married. And the children that come out of that marriage are exempted from your statement.
That is correct.
So that gives us 54 and 30. That's 84. That means a full 80% of the children being made in the black community are being made by less than 20% of the men. So to answer your question is, why are women having children with men with multiple children who aren't married? And then women like you asking, why are the women picking them?
You got me there, Kevin.
Okay, so you see that's the stat, and I want to go to the comment from this lady. What I assume was a lady. She doesn't want to show her face, and then I'm going to go to the. Sorry about the sound. After that, I'm going to go to the census website that has this up. So she had once. Sorry, so I'm going to actually start from the top. This person, Sean Stone, said, as a black man, I've always wondered about that. It always seemed that brothers either had 5 or 6 kids or none at all. Now it all makes sense. Then Tawanda said, it shouldn't because it's actually 80% of black men who have children by the age 40. 50% of black men under 30 are childless. 40.8% of black women by age 40 are still childless versus 20% of black men childless by 40. Now, I didn't read all of that I didn't pay attention to all that the first time. But let's see. So she's saying 40% of black women. So almost half of them are childless. I would like to see that chart, versus 20% of black men. So actually, there are more black men making children with. Well, no, you have to account for the dating out. So we're not even going to go that route. So I then says that stat you're talking about is referring to black men having their first child. 80% of black men who have children have their first child in their 40s. Now, I don't know how she misread that, but she did. And she said, what difference does it make? At 48% of black men are fathers. Does it really matter if it's the first or the seventh? Only under 30 is it 50% of black men childish. Black women are equally childish at that age. Now, she just said in her earlier statement that it was 20%. So she even went against her own stat. But again, she misunderstood what I said, which is what everybody keeps, the same thing that everybody keeps misunderstanding that stat. So I then try to say it again. No, of the men who become fathers, 80% of those men have their first child at 40. The chart isn't 80% of men and fathers are fathers, and I'll show that in a second. That same study tells you, actually here I told her, that same study tells you 60% of total men in the USA are fathers 15 and over. You have to explain the 20% gap. And then she says, no, the chart I looked at is the population of black men and black women in America as a whole, not fathers only. They specifically say what percentage are fathers and a percentage that are childless. Then she says 60% of men overall, meaning white, black, Asian, etc. 80% of black men only. Okay, so here's the problem with that stat. If 60% of the men generally in the United States are fathers starting at 15 years old, but black men are 80%, you have to show me a group of men who are at least 67% of the population like we are, that are massively under that 60%. Because the chart that they have on census that I also saw on the O'Reilly channel, said in white, Hispanic, and Asian, I believe, they're all above 80% as well. So how in the hell, where do you get this severely below 60% number to round it up, to average it all out to 60%? Where is that? I need to know where that is. You have to explain that 20% gap. She tried to, but you have to show me someone, a group of men who are just as large as us, who's severely below 60%. So I do what I typically do after so many back and forth. I just ask person, do you want to cam up? Because I'm tired of talking. If you don't want to cam up, you got the last word. And she says, you want to see what I look like. Why the fuck would I want to see what you look like? Why? What would be the point at? What would be the point at? Oh, she actually has videos. Okay, let's see.
Take a picture. You can't take a picture.
Oh, that's not. This her? Okay, so no, I don't think she has any videos of actually her on her channel. Okay, no, she doesn't. So we'll just abort that mission. But damn, I lost the comment. But y'all get what I'm saying. So here, I'm about to go to the census site itself. So here you see it says this is as of 2019. I wish they were updated, but this is as of 2019. It says about 61.6% of men, 74.7 million men, age 15 and over are fathers. And of those, 72.2 million men have a biological child. So it's a small percentage of them aren't even actually biological fathers. Now I'm trying to go down to that chart. Okay, so here. So this is the chart that a lot of people point to, and I would download it, but I think it's unnecessary. I think you can just make do with the slight blurriness. We all should know the deal at this point. So it has white, black, Asian, and Hispanic. And then it has the ages from it's 4 sections of ages: 15 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 38, and then it looks like 40 to 49. And in that last one, white men are at 75, black men are at 80. Damn, Asians are at, is that 90 or is that another 80? I think that's another 80. And then, yeah, that's 80. And then Hispanics are like at 85. Now, for all the men across the board to be, well, white men are at 75. But even at 75, explain to me how you get 60 overall. Think about that. You're telling me you're going. Let's cut it out at the top and make everybody 75%, just like white guys. Again, what group of men in America that are equal to or greater to the population of black men that have like 40%? Because you gotta round it down to 60% somehow. Unless you want to tell me that black men have a extremely high population of 15-year-olds and a like incredibly low population of 40-year-olds, and that tips the scale by that fucking much. Or however that, you gotta explain it somehow to me. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you gotta throw that in there. Now I would like for her to have dropped a link to where she said it showed black women and black men both have the equal amount, but she didn't. And by the way, real quick, I'm really tired of instead of actually addressing the issue, they just try to make it like, oh, let's just erase the idea of the issue in the first place. And what I mean is, this all started because men were saying, like in that Kevin's video that I just showed, that you all are complaining about the men, but most of the men, y'all are just looking right past for the fun factor. And then when that fun factor turns into work responsibility, it's like, oh, well, what are we supposed to do? You know, it's like, well, pick the guys that you're looking right past. They actually would make better fathers, better husbands. It's like, no, we don't. It's all of you are like that. All of you are exactly the same. And it's like, well, no, actually, There are so many dudes that are not even, they're not homeless, they're not making minimum wage, they don't have children, and they live on their own. Like that basic four things right there, a lot of you are looking past those guys, and then because of fun, like or maybe they're too nice or whatever the fuck. There's so many different videos that y'all have made on this subject, and I think instead of actually just saying yes, let's how about we make more structured decisions that have a little bit of restraint. It's well, let's just pretend the problem isn't there. Let's just find whatever study we can find to show us whatever numbers we want to get so we can just at least pretend that that problem isn't there. And that's what a bullshit is to me. Now, this right here is what I want to hear more people talk about. It says in the educational attainment, about 14% of fathers do not have a high school diploma, and roughly 12% of fathers hold a graduate or professional degree. Among men ages 40 to 50 years, men without a bachelor's degree are less likely to have a child than men with less than a high school diploma. Ladies, please explain to me how this works. To give you the benefit of the doubt, maybe all these dudes have their kids, y'all have your kids with these dudes like right out of high school. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe that's where most of these come from. Because if y'all adult chicks is fucking dudes with no high school diploma, which likely, not necessarily, but which likely means the way we are structured in society today, it means this guy doesn't even have a fucking like basic education, which is extremely low in America, but he doesn't even have that. You'd rather have a baby with him than a dude that has some sort of degree. And you all tout degrees as this thing to have, but you fucking the dudes that don't have one. Alrighty. Okay. Be right, not positive. I'm out.